Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. First of all, before we start our discussion, let's thank to our God who has given us some blessing and mercies so we can gather and attend in this synchronous meeting by using Google Meet. And secondly, let's thank to our Prophet Muhammad who has who has guided us from the darkness to the lightness. And now his blessing day and Maulid Nabi day. And today we are going to talk about the materials, method, and content from chapter 3. So you can see on chapter 3 about our discussion today. But before we explain furthermore, let us introduce ourselves. In group 3, there are 6 students here. The first one, Yashinta Rahmawati. Second, Suhendri Palaguna. Third, Nurhayati. Fourth, Nur Fitria. Fifth, Nugraisyah Ika Mayori. And last but not least is Adriyannisa Aulia Husna. Okay, next. All right, for the contents. Our discussion today has 5 contents. It will start from introduction, ELT and the global desertification of English, pedagogy and ELT materials, ELT course book, and last, conclusion. Next. All right, for the introduction will be explained by Nurhayati. Okay, Nurhayati, time is yours.
Okay. The cultural and contextual variables at work in ELT materials, where the heart of these issues is the global diversification of the English language. This issue is explored as a material in determining ELT material by answering the following questions regarding to their content and design. The first is which English, and the second which culture, and the third which material. In this regard, it's then analyzed where the ELT course book is positioned. And the next slide will be presented by
ELT and the global desertification of English. As the dominant teaching material in ELT classroom, the course book presumably remains the main influence on which variety is taught. European markets tend to look the British English course book, while Asian markets, example Japan, South Korea, Thailand, and Taiwan, tend towards American-owned, with culture and the orthodoxy that language and culture are interwoven, the importance of teaching language and culture. Materials and the cultures blind. In EL and ELV situation, the culture need not to reference to native English-speaking cultures. This is the 3 types of cultural materials, target culture materials that the use, culture of a country where English is spoken as L1, L1. Source culture material that draw on the learner's own culture as content, and international target culture material that use a mixture of cultures in English and non-English speaking countries. Next to be explained by Nur Fit.
Okay, thank you, Lara. And the point 3 of this chapter is pedagogy and ELT materials. Pedagogy is one of the most important elements in developing and implementing English language teaching materials. This article is based on a study which states that English teachers should improve pedagogy. And one example of this pedagogy is the teacher professionalism by not putting too much emphasis on social culture. The pedagogic approach is unavoidable in terms of implementation materials that previously had to be carefully designed. Pedagogy is as well as the main and final issue that must be considered in terms of the foundations of culture around the world and the ELT materials. Next slide will be explained by Husna and Yashinta.
Okay. English language teaching coursebook. Coursebook will help teacher in teaching and learning session. Most coursebooks today are part of comprehensive package of print-based and digital materials including the student books, teachers books, workbooks, CDs, DVDs, and accompanying website or a learning platform and increasingly mobile apps. Global coursebooks in effort to cater better to the diverse varieties, status, and needs for English. The coursebook is a research that students can hold in their hands. Teachers and curriculum development tend to imitate the approach of best-selling coursebook on the assumption that this must be what learners and teachers want. The control and production of ELT materials vary considerably from country to country and continent to continent. Next. The history of ELT publication has been well charted elsewhere. For example, Howard and Whitson, 2004. Next, but no, maybe. The boom in ELT was precipitated by a combination of factors at work in the early 1960s. Another was the realization in the UK and USA that ELT was an eminently marketable and improvement product in terms of both native speaking teachers and learning materials. Those arguing in favor of the coursebook tend to stress practical factors. Number one, from the perspective of the teacher institution, the coursebook offers a ready-made, cost-effective, standard syllabus that can slot into its English language curriculum. Number two, their long-established international publishers give coursebook a certain authority, credibility, and guarantee of quality. Number three, this cluster of material serves as a time saver for the basic teacher and a guide for the inexperienced one. The last one is not to forget the learners, of course, who can chart their progress through such a syllabus and use it for revision. The next is Yashinta.
Streamline English from Oxford University Press, the Strategy series from Longman. These early coursebooks were accused of having a hidden curriculum. Canningsworth 1995 90, which embedded and projected Western values and attitude. Consumerism perception of beauty and gender roles. See Harvard 2014. These were not only Western, it was pointed out, but mainly white and middle class. See, for example, Dendrinus 1992, Rosner 1988, Karna Garaja 1999, and Grade 2010. 20 and 10, sorry. In this view, learning a foreign language became, at best, a kind of enculturation where one acquires new cultural frames of reverence and a new worldview reflecting those of the target language and its speakers. Uptaking to 2002, 58. And at worst, a type of ideological indoctrination, Dendrinus 1992, with learners expected to accept and act within the parameters of values and behaviors of another culture.
All right, for the conclusion, well, you have heard about many topics that my friend have mentioned and explained. So from this topic, we can conclude that materials, method, and content are interrelated and cannot stand alone. Why? Because the subject are really important in teaching English. Okay, let me explain one by one why those are important. Why do material is important? The first reason is the material includes topic or things that can facilitate teachers in teaching their students. The second one, the material also the subject that teacher want to share to their students. Okay, why do method is important? Because the method is teacher knowledge in delivering the material that has been prepared. The teaching method also consists of the principle of method that used by the teacher. Okay. The simple one is how the teacher deliver the material that can make their student understand. And last but not least is context. Why the context is important? The first one is because the context includes everything in the surrounding environment. The context can be physical, it can be social, it can be institutional and personal that can affect teaching and learning process on the class. Context also means that how teacher can make the student understand the meaning of what is learned and the subject being studied at the time. Okay, let me give you simple example. Okay, there is a teacher has material and content, but he doesn't have a method to convey it to the students. As a result, the teacher won't be able to teach their student because the method is the teacher knowledge to convey the material and vice versa. So that's why the subject can stand alone and therefore material, method, and content cannot be separated from one another. Okay, next. All right, guys. Thank you for your attention. And anyway, do you have any question? It will be pleasure that can answer your question.
Me, Juan.
Oh, okay, Rizka.
You have said that material, method, and contact cannot stand alone. So, what do you think of the teacher who just has one of these topics? For example, the teacher just have a material without the other hand, what should they do?
All right, Rizka, thank you for your question. we will keep it. Okay, how about the others? Do you have any question, guys?
Me join.
Uh, okay, Ayodhya, Fauzia.
Uh, my question is, please explain the reason why in AL and ELF situation, the culture need not be referenced to native English speaking cultures.
Uh, Sorry, Ayodhya, could you repeat? I can't hear your voice clearly.
I can apa? I can put in chat box.
Oh, all right, all right. Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for your question. Wow, there is question from Melinda. How to make teaching language and culture more challenging for students to learn cultural diversity? Thank you. Okay, Zayan, sure. You can send your question here on the comment box.
Sorry, Juan, I have a question for your group.
Uh, yeah, sure. Sally Anissa, sure.
Okay, my question is in point 3 about the pedagogy and ELT materials. There are explanations about one example about improving pedagogy. It is teacher professionalism. Can you explain more about it?
Uh, yeah, sure. But Sally, could you type in the chat box, please? Thank you.
Okay, I will put the
Okay,
question.
thank you for your question. Is there any question again, guys?
Turn to us.
Okay, Sinta Nuria.
In the fourth slide, it cites that the course book presumably remains the main influence of on which variety is taught. And the question is, can you explain again what is the definition of the course book? Thank you.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you for your question. Sinta, what is it? Could you type it on the chat box, please?
Okay.
Is there any question, guys? Okay, I want to try to answer this, Anissa. I want to make sure that your question is, what will the student do if they just have one material, for example, without the other one, isn't it?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, Juan.
okay. All right, good question. Thank you for your question. Um, Based on my explanation previously, from the conclusion about the subject can stand alone that so should the teacher what the teacher should do if they just have one of them without the other one. Okay, in my opinion, the first thing that teacher should do is, first they have to find out what kind of method that the teacher should do to deliver the students. What is how to the teacher make the student understand? They have to find out about that. And the second is, the teacher should know what is the context about the material. And if the teacher doesn't have the material, so the teacher should find out the material, what kind of topic they want to teach their student, what kind of subject. And also it can help the teacher if they just have one or they doesn't have the material, method, or the context. The point is they have to find out what is the material, what is the context, and how to deliver the material for their student. Okay, I hope it can answer your question, Rizka Anissa.
Okay, nice explanation. Thank you, Ren.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, I will try to answer the question from Malinda. How to make teaching language and culture more challenging for students to learn cultural diversity. Okay, first of all, language is a part of a culture of society, and studying the culture enables one to easily know the basis of the social meanings and usage of words and narratives of the language under study. There are methods that can help in obtaining communicative competence is the method of discourse, especially in the choice of words or the use of appropriate speech. It requires attention to the context that usually surrounds the communication process. For example, when the learner finds difficulty in understanding the text that is conveyed explicitly, in this case, students are challenged to find words or phrase, sentences, or anything that can help or commonly called read between the lines. But with culture understanding, especially with analysis, students' discourse will be very easy to understand some text even though delivery is not clear. As for example, in the realm of cultural diversity, students share their respective cultures with each other, and this method can make language classes more interactive. I think that's all, Malinda. Is it clear? Malinda?
Yeah, thank you. I lost my connection. Sorry.
Okay.
Excuse me. May I answer Desi's question?
Sure.
Okay. The question is, can you mention the disadvantages of coursebooks? I know that everything has disadvantages by itself. Related these coursebooks, in my opinion, the disadvantage of this sometimes has outdated version. For me, that's it. Is it
Okay,
clear, Desi?
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Excuse me, I will try to answer the Zion question. The question is, why we have to convey the culture for learn a second language and or a foreign language? I think oftentimes teacher forget to convey the culture contained in the language. So the language often learn the common errors in usage. The learning based culture based on the recognition of culture as fundamental part on the learning process. And overall, untuk menambah wawasan dan pengetahuan asal nggak mengurangi nilai-nilai budaya lokal. Karena perlu mempelajari penggunaan bahasa Inggris sesuai dengan konteks budaya agar mereka memiliki pemahaman yang komprehensif terkait dengan bahasa Inggris karena bahasa Inggris tidak dapat dipisahkan dengan konteksnya budaya. It's all. How about Zayan? Is that clear? Zayan?
Yes, sorry. Hello?
Is that clear, my answer?
Can you repeat once again?
Okay. I think teacher oftentimes forget to convey the culture contained in language. So the language is often learned the common errors in usage. Learning based culture based on the recognition of culture as a fundamental part of the learning process. Ada banyak teori yang berpendapat mengenai dua hal ini, budaya dan bahasa. Ada yang mengatakan bahasa itu bagian dari kebudayaan. Tapi ada pula yang mengatakan bahasa dan kebudayaan merupakan dua hal yang berbeda, namun mempunyai hubungan yang erat sehingga tidak dapat dipisahkan. Dan karena kita tuh perlu mempelajari penggunaan bahasa Inggris sesuai dengan konteks budaya supaya mereka memiliki pemahaman yang komprehensif terkait dengan bahasa Inggris karena bahasa Inggris tidak dapat dipisahkan dengan konteksnya budaya. It's all. Is it clear, Zayan?
Okay, clear, Rara. Thank you for your explanation.
Okay, I want to try to answer Sinta Nuria Musa Utama. The question is, in the first slide, it said that the course book presumably remains the main influence on which variety is taught. Your question is, could you explain again what the meaning of the course books is? Thank you. All right. Based on my understanding, yes, course book it's the context that in the context has many material inside, just like what is the teacher need to teach their students, and the course books has many the material. Yeah, I think this it can help the teacher to deliver to teach their students. Yeah, I think this it, Sinta.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you for your clear and explanation.
Okay, my pleasure.
Okay, I want to answering the Charlie's question. The question is in the third point. This is pedagogy and ELT materials, and they are one example in improving pedagogy. It is a teacher professionalism. Sally said, "Can you explain more about it?" Okay. Teacher professionalism as one example of pedagogy that teachers should have, for example, to not putting too much emphasis on social culture or local culture. Why? Because students can interact more communicatively in class with the other student or the teachers. Just it.
Okay, thank you, Nur, for the explanation.
Okay, my pleasure.
Um, may I answer Sinta's question again? Okay. The question is, can you explain again what the meaning of the course book? The course book is a resource that students and teachers can hold in theoretic hands, and it will help them in teaching and learning session. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, I want to try to answer Putri Fitria Ariel question. Okay, the question is, the PPT said that teachers and curriculum developers tend to imitate the approach of best-selling course books on the assumption that this must be what learners and teachers want. What do you mean about assumption that must be what learners and teacher want? Could you more specific? Correct. That's a good question. Okay. Sometimes a teacher just monotone. They just teach based on the curriculum and imitate the course book. So that's why they make assumption that a curriculum and also course books, that's what learners and teachers want to teach their students. I think that's it. Uh, I hope that answered your question, Putri. Thank you.
I will try to answer Ayudia's question. The question is, explain the reason why in EL and ELF the culture not to be reference to native English speaking culture. And I think because we just let student know the target culture budaya sasaran, but remain in touch with the local culture budaya lokal. Maksudnya supaya siswa mengetahui budaya sasaran tapi tetap megang budaya lokal. And knowing foreign cultures need to for variation in English learners. The goal is for more insight and advanced knowledge, do not diminish local cultural values. Dan the integration of both cultures yakni which target culture and local culture is have some advantage that growing the intercultural awareness, growing local wisdom, developing a cultural understanding of low context culture, and sacrificing English learning based on real experience. How about idea? Is that clear? My answer that
Okay,
I
thank you.
explained before. My pleasure.
All right, I want to try to answer Siti Nur Hidayah questions. Okay, the question is, from what I know, the materials and methodologies at school are different from the material taught in courses. Which do you think is better? And can we as teacher use it in the classroom, even though it is slightly different from the material from school books? All right, to be honest, I have joined a course in Pare since 2020 in February. And to be honest, yeah, in course books they are more specific and they have more clear explanation than what I have learned in the online class. You know, if you ask me which one is better, but the what is it? If I compare to online college or offline course, I more prefer in course because they are more specific and more clearly, and also I can ask anything and every time because we have because in course they have camp that also they has a teacher 24 hours and the day you can ask many questions in that. But if you ask me which one is better, offline class or offline courses? Yeah, to be honest, all of them is good for me because I can learn, I can, what is it? The lecturer or the teacher are good in explain the material if on in offline class, and also I can understand what is the teacher meaning or the lecturer's meanings. So how about that? The material and method in course, could we use that in the offline class? Of course we could because yeah, as I mentioned before, their material is good, and also from best my personal experience, yeah, I'm really love courses and I hope that I can imitate the method as I use as a teacher for teach my students. Okay, Siti Nur Hidayah, it's clear. All right, I hope that it can answer your question. All right, guys. Is there any question again? Yeah, my pleasure, Sinta. Siti Nurhayati, my pleasure. Okay, guys. Is there any question again from our discussion today about the material, method, and context?
Suhendri,
Okay.
pertanyaan saya masih ada di chat box yang masih saya pertanyakan.
No. Oh, I see. 3. How how come a course book can Siti, could you explain that what is ABD? I don't know. ABD, what is it? What is it? Oh, N.
It's typo
What
N.
typo? Okay, give me some time, okay? All right, I want to try to answer. Do you mean that uh, how a course books can understand the teacher and what is the student wants? Okay. Uh, Based on my understanding, yes. Um, First book is from a curriculum, and curriculum is our government decision what will the student learn in one semester. So they make a book from their decision, and the books can make the student and the teacher easier to teach their student and to teach what will the student need in the curriculum. So that's why I think course books can no no course book can make understand the teacher and student ones without the method. So the teacher should use a fun method to make the student understand about the material that in the course books. But if the student just read a course book without the explanation from the teacher, yeah, it's really hard to understand, and sometimes the student can't understand what is the meaning in the course books. Okay, I think this is it, Putri Fitria. Did I answer your question or no? All right, I hope that it can answer your question. Okay, guys, is there any question? If there is no, I think it's enough. Oh, okay. Okay, it's new. Okay, it's new question from Rahma Inayatullah. Thank you for your question, Rahma. Ica. Yeah, my pleasure, Putri Fitriah Ariel.
All questions answered?
Sorry, sir.
Sudah semua dijawab?
Just last question, sir.
Okay, there's still one more question. Yeah. All right, no worries.
We still need a time because, it's new question and we need more time.
Okay, no problem. Take your time.
Okay.
So that could have been the last question, yeah?
All right. I want to try to answer. Pedagogy is only much. Your question is in PPT. You are all wrote that pedagogy is one of the important elements to developing and implementing English language teaching materials. My question is only pedagogy that only match implementing English language teaching materials? And you said pedagogy is one of the important. So is there another one except pedagogy? Okay. Based on my understanding, pedagogy is like the method what the teacher taught for the young students. So if we are a teacher that teach a young student, we have to use a pedagogy because different age, different method to deliver the student. So that's why pedagogy is one of the important things that we have to do. How about for the adult? Yeah, for the adult, we use andragogy. Yeah, andragogy method. We can compare that pedagogy and anthropology because there are different. And so because in our topic today just discuss about pedagogy, so that's why we mentioned that pedagogy is one of the most important to teaching English. But if our discussion today is about pedagogy and anthropology, we will say that all of them it's the part of the most important in teaching in English. Yeah, okay. Ramainayatullah, did I answer your question? Oh, yeah. Yeah, my pleasure. All right. Because there are no question, I think it's enough for our presentation today from Group Three. I do apologize if we did many mistakes in our explanation or in our presentation. And to Allah, I hope that Allah will give me a mercy. All right. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for listen our explanation. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much. Group 3, I think I do not want to review it. Now this is the time for everyone to work on the summary and upload it in the system, yeah, in the Google Classroom. So we can end this class and you can finish the summary and you can enjoy your holiday. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you very
sir.
much, everyone. Have a nice day and stay safe, yeah? Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you
Sir.
very much, everyone.